Hello, Daniel. This is your next math lesson. And we're working with remainders. And we're going to talk about remainders after dividing by 9. Okay, remainders after dividing by 9. So, it looks like what we want to do here is take worksheet 1 and let's look at the first problem on worksheet 1. It says Caitlin is selling tickets for a sporting event. 9 people can sit in a row in the bleachers. A group of 12 people are attending. How many full rows of 9 do they need? Right? So, let's see. Let's see if we can do this. We'll call that a row that can take 9. See that? There we go. Someone do that. And then, I guess we'll do it again. I don't know how many rows we'll need. Maybe you do, just by thinking about the problem. Anyway, we'll give ourselves 3 rows, right? Let's say that those are 3 rows of bleachers. Each row can hold 9 people, we'll say. Okay? So the question is, we have a group of 12 people, and how many full rows of 9 do they need, right? And so if we were to do this, one way we could think about this is, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 people. So that's 1 full row, right? So it looks like there's 3 people left, right? So if we need 1, 2, 3, right? So there's 12 people. I just marked 12 people, okay? And so how many full rows did we use? We used 1 full row. How many people are sitting in a row that is not full? Well, there'd be 3 people here, right? And so it says, write your answers in the left chart below. All right, so I guess you have a chart, and it has, like in the first row, 12. Full rows would be 1, and the remainder would be 3. Okay? So that's the idea, and it asks you to do, I guess the next 3 problems all are similar problems. You're going to be doing the same thing with 22 people, 28 people, and 62 people. And in each case, hopefully you can see that you're dividing by 9 because there are 9 people that can fit in each row. So, as you do those, you are going to be finding the remainders when you divide by 9, right? So that with the 22, right? So with 22, I'm going to need more rows here. I think I can do this faster. There we go. Give myself another row. Wait. Didn't work. Give myself another row. 3, 4, 5, 6. this row down here. Okay. Erase stuff out of the way. All right, so let's look at problem number 2. It says, next, Caitlin sells a group of 22 people, sells to a group of 22 people. How many full rows of 9 will they need? How many will sit in the partial row? Write your answers in the left chart, right? So 9 could go here, right? 9 here, that's 18. There would be 4 in the partial row, right? So there would be 2 full rows and 4 people in a partial row. There, right? There'd be 2 full rows with 9 people, and then 4 people in the partial row. Okay, so fill in your chart. All right, this is my chart. This is rows with 9, and this is people in the partial row. Okay? So the next one, number 3, says, Caitlin then sells tickets to a group of 28 people, and same questions, right? So if we think about that, 28 people, there's 9, there's 18, right? That would be 27. So we could fill up 3 rows, and we'd have 1 person left over. Okay? So when we have 28 people, there would be 3 rows and 1 left over. All right. Let's look at number 4. At halftime, the 3 groups left returned and sat together. What is the fewest number of rows they need now? Okay, so now it's like those 3 groups all become 1 group. Okay, so how do we know the total number of people? How could we know that? Well, if we add up the numbers in each group, 12 and 22 and 28, and we would get 62 people. Right? So a total of 62 people. Now, let's figure out how many full rows 62 people take. Right? In other words, what we're doing is 62 divided by 9. Right? Or it can be written this way. 62 divided by 9. How many 9s fit in 62? Okay. Well, our other strategy here is we can say, okay, so there's 9. There would be 18. There would be 27. 4 9s would be 36. 5 rows of 9 would be 45. 6 rows of 9 would be 54. Can we do 7 rows of 9? No, we can't. That would be too much. So we can have 6 rows with 9 people. How many people will be sitting in the partial row, the incomplete row? Well, there would be 8 more people, right? Because here would be 54 people, and there'd be 8 more people to sit. Okay? Now, what's interesting is that 62 came from adding these 3 groups. Right? The 12, the 22, and the 28, and the 62. So we can... we figured it out here. We did the dividing by 9. But also notice that if you take each group and you add the rows with 9 for each group, it equals the rows for 9 for all the people taken together. Now our remainder of 8, the 8 people that sit in that last row, we figured that out from our division, right? It took 8, there were 8 people left over after we filled up these 6 rows. But notice we could have added the remainders, 3, 4, and 1, 7, 8, and that would give us how many people would be left over to sit in a row that's not complete. Okay? All right, so your job is on worksheet 1 then, having worked through those together, make sure that you have your work for those first 4 problems. But on worksheet 1, I want you to do numbers 5 and 6, and you're going to be filling in a chart as well, just as similar to what we just did, the same type of problem, okay? And so you're going to be looking at dividing by 9. You're going to see the remainders that are left over, okay? But you're going to find something, I think, different here, right? Or you're going to encounter something a little bit different than what we did in our first example, okay? When it comes to the whole group and finding the full rows with 9 people and the people in partial rows. So make sure that you don't just add up these columns like we did here, okay? Because that won't necessarily always work. You have to think about the fact that in this division, 9 makes a full row, okay? So notice that when we added up the people that were left over, it came to 8, so we couldn't fill up a whole row. What if we added these numbers of people left over, the remainder people, and we added it up and we got 11? Well, if we got 11 here, you can make another whole row out of 11 because there's a 9 inside 11. Okay, so be careful as you work through this. Okay, so you're going to do worksheet 1, numbers 5 and 6, and you're going to play game D8, and I want you to use a divisor of 9 for that game. Okay? All right, pretty quick lesson. Work on number 5 and 6. I'll be really interested to see how you do with your chart on numbers 5 and 6.